Hello folks, Dick Fairburn here. My videos normally come out on Friday in the evening. I think the events of this weekend prompts a break in my talking about rifle optics for a week or so. And let's get back on politics. I know some of you don't like to hear about politics. Some of you don't necessarily like to hear about guns because the viewership is down on those, but they're intertwined, folks. How we use these guns, how we might need to use these guns could become important in the next few months. So I'm going to talk about the second Trump assassination attempt, things that we've learned and questions that we have. If you want to hear about this, and I hope you do, stick around. All right, only a couple of days ago, former President Trump was playing golf at his golf course, not far from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. A suspect had positioned himself near the green of the fifth hole, obviously waiting for Trump to show up. I don't like to use the names of these criminals and give them any more notoriety than they deserve, but this suspect has a long criminal record, including multiple felonies. One was a felon in possession of a full auto weapon. On his social media sites, he had political leanings that are clearly anti-Trump. He had traveled to Ukraine not long after the war started there, trying to recruit people to go there and fight for Ukraine. So not sure what kind of a link he has with them, but apparently it's important to him. He was on the FBI and the State Department's radar. A lady who met him in Ukraine was very troubled by some of the things he said, came back and reported him. At one point, the FBI was given a tip that he was in possession of another fully automatic weapon. They investigated that, but apparently were unable to find one, so the case was closed. Point is, they knew this guy. Now, whether the Secret Service knew about him, a bleed over from those other federal agencies, we don't know. We will probably never know. Pings of his cell phone show that he was at the location of his sniper hide on the golf course as long as 12 hours before he was found by Secret Service. We'll talk about what kind of event this was, what kind of Secret Service he's got for protection, but this is another should have been caught situation. Luckily, a Secret Service agent saw the muzzle of his rifle sticking through the chain link fence surrounding the golf course, and that Secret Service agent opened fire. Now, he did not hit the suspect, and according to reports, the suspect did not fire off any shots. But at that point, he fled. He left the weapon and some other items behind and attempted to make his getaway. The press has reported the weapon as a scope-sighted AK-47 type rifle. They've also reported it as an SKS. It is neither of these things. My first impression was that it might be an SVD Dragunov, a Soviet sort of a sniper rifle, really more of a designated marksman rifle, because the action is too long for an SKS or an AK-47. The barrel is too long for an AK-47, but the magazine was incorrect for an SVD. My friend Mike Wood, who runs a Revolver Guy blog and very smart guy and all kinds of weapons, I think he pinned it down. It appears to be a Saiga, which is a sporting variation of a Soviet-made Kalashnikov semi-auto rifle. They were made for the U.S. market, possibly other markets around the world, I'm not sure. The Saiga can be chambered for a number of different rounds, from the size of a 7.62 by 39 up to 7.62 by 54, a full-size rifle cartridge. Saiga also makes shotguns, bigger size semi-auto Kalashnikov variations on that. But the stock, everything about it points to a Saiga rifle. We do not know what kind of scope he had on it. And the magazine appears to be about a 30-round magazine, and because of the shape of the magazine, both the curve and the base plate, it looks to me like it's made for a 7.62 by 39. So it may be a typical AK-47 style magazine. Also at his sniper hide are 2 bags that you can see attached to the chain link fence, with a little gap in between for the muzzle of the rifle to go through and fire. My first suspicion was confirmed yesterday when the FBI reported that among his accoutrements were 2 ceramic plates. So he had rifle grade armor plates apparently attached to that chain link fence as a protection for his sniper hide. As I said, the Secret Service agent saw the muzzle, recognized what it was. He was part of a team working 1 or 2 holes ahead of President Trump on the golf course. So they were clearing like the next hole or the next 2 holes before Trump arrived. And when he saw that muzzle sticking through the fence, he fired. He did not make a hit that we're aware of. The reports put Trump anywhere from 300 to 500 yards away from that sniper hide at the time the Secret Service intervened. And so he was not in sight of President Trump and could not have shot him at that point. Now, after the Secret Service fired at the suspect, witnesses outside the golf course saw the suspect flee the scene and enter a vehicle. Reportedly, they got pictures of both the suspect and his vehicle, including the license plate number. And one report said that the license plate had been stolen. So he was running a stolen plate on the vehicle. They got these pictures out to law enforcement very quickly, and within 30 minutes, the suspect was found and taken into custody on I-95, the next county north of Palm Beach County where this attempted assassination occurred. According to the Secret Service acting director at a press conference yesterday, he said that the suspect did not get off any shots, that he left his rifle behind and fled the scene. The acting director also claimed that Trump's detail has been increased dramatically after the July shooting in Pennsylvania. He says it is approximately at the same level that Trump would have had a Secret Service protective detail while he was the sitting president. Not too sure that claim holds water. As I mentioned, there was a team working ahead of the former president's golf group. They were clearing those holes. That team working ahead identified the threat of a rifle muzzle and fired on that possible threat. So that team worked the day of this assassination attempt. At these press conferences, especially the first one on the day of the attempt, I think the most powerful evidence we have that the Secret Service acting director was blowing smoke, that Trump now has a presidential level detail, was the Palm Beach sheriff. Because he reported right after this occurred that Trump does not have a presidential level Secret Service detail. When Trump was the president, he stayed at Mar-a-Lago a lot. He golfed on that very same golf course. So that sheriff knew how things were done when Trump was the sitting president. And he made the statement up at the podium that Trump did not have presidential level security. He said if Trump had been the sitting president, the entire golf course would have been closed down. And he knows, because he was the sheriff when they did that. But the entire golf course was not shut down now. So clearly, Trump does not have the same degree of protection he would have had as the sitting president, which I think with 2 attempts now, it's kind of time we got to that point. Now here's my $1 million question. I really wonder if we're ever going to get this answered. How did the shooter know Trump's activity plan for the golf outing? As I said, his cell phone pinged him there 12 hours before his attempt. He apparently had selected his position and was laying in wait. He knew at least 12 hours ahead of time that Trump was going to go golfing. How does he know that? Now, to the point that President Trump does not have true presidential level security at this point, why wouldn't he have it? They know the threats against him, both domestic and foreign. He's been shot in the first attempt. Now there has been a second attempt. I'd say this is not an accident. Clearly, Secretary Mayorkas, Homeland Security, who is in charge of the Secret Service, and or the Biden-Harris administration, they don't want Trump to have that level of protection. If they wanted him to have that level of protection, I'd surmise that he would have it, but he does not. So the question comes up, could this be some kind of conspiracy involving the government? Could Biden, Harris, Democratic National Committee, whoever, could they have an assassination plot, conspiracy of their own underway? That's what my wife thinks. Maybe a little bit more radical than I am. I'm not sure I can give them that much credit. There are many unexplained issues about the Pennsylvania attempt, including disposal of the body and a lot of other things. We're going to have to see what develops from this Florida attempt, because now we have a living suspect. According to the press conferences, he has used his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, so we're not probably going to get a lot of help direct from him. I kind of doubt that the government has a plot to kill Trump. As I said, mostly because I'm not sure they're good enough to do it. It would be extremely difficult to keep something like that quiet for very long. And if for no other reason, then I think they'd be using better shooters than they have so far. But who knows? Maybe we're going to see a reactivation of the old Clinton suicide team that surrounds so many people that had dealings with President Clinton over the years. As conspiracy theories go, and there are tons of them circulating about the first shooting, I generally don't believe any of them. And I haven't really seen anything in the first shooting that leaps out at me as more than the facts that we know already. But here's a very curious one. A content provider on YouTube by the name of Brylan Riggs, Brylan Riggs. Feel free to go look at his YouTube channel. I'm going to give you a clip from one that he posted not too long after this shooting. And in it, he shows images of both Crooks, the Pennsylvania shooter, and Routh, the Florida would-be shooter. And they were on commercials made for the BlackRock investment firm. Both of these shooters appear in video commercials promoting BlackRock investments.
Now here's the stunning connection between Routh and Crooks. You won't believe this. Watch this video here.
Is to appeal to both leaders.
So I'm just going to show this little part here. This is a commercial by a rock that is black company, if you catch my drift, showing Routh in it, promoting the war. Here's another commercial by a rock that is black company. You can see that it featured Crooks in it as well. So you can see this disturbing trend of these commercials being done by one of the most powerful company in the world that owns literally everything. Look at something in your house. The Rock Black Company owns it. And yet here we are. Two different commercials featuring the first Trump attacker and another commercial featuring the second Trump attacker, all funded by the same company, who also deals with the government.
Now, how you stretch that into a murder conspiracy is got a hell of a lot of investigative legwork to do. But what a coincidence is that? Crooks's ad, he was in a classroom, and the ad was about a teacher in a high school in Pennsylvania and how BlackRock oversaw teachers' retirement programs. Routh was in an ad dealing with the war in Ukraine. He had traveled to Ukraine. We know he's involved with that. In December of 2022, BlackRock signed an agreement with the Ukrainian President Zelensky dealing with a reconstruction project for the rebuilding of Ukraine. So they are tied in with Ukraine. Wow, what a coincidence. I'll just leave that there for someone else to work on. Now, would Biden and Harris like for Trump to be assassinated? Hell yes. It may be the only way to stop him from winning the election. Could that be driving the fact that Trump has less than an A-grade Secret Service detail for Trump? Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's an accident that he does not have the level of protection he had when he was the sitting president. Now, they make the excuses that, well, we don't have enough people to do that for candidates. We don't have enough people to do that for former presidents. Okay, I understand that. The Secret Service claims they are more than 1,000 agents under strength. Hiring and training agents is not an overnight thing. It's going to take a year or two to get top flight agents out there on protective details. So, and I know this from knowing some Secret Service agents in the past. When the election year comes, they have candidates and other people to protect. A lot of the non-protective agents of the Secret Service get sent to those details. And I'm sure they have some, at least modest level of training in dignitary protection. But they're not the A team. At best, they're probably going to be the B team. So if they're used just to bolster with more manpower an already top flight team and advance party, that's one thing. But if they're putting together B-grade teams, not necessarily led by A-grade dignitary protection folks, which we think might have been what happened in Pennsylvania, then that's a bad thing for the Secret Service to do. They also use other agents from other federal agencies to bolster their manpower needs during election cycles. Okay, so whether or not Trump has presidential level security, which I doubt seriously. I think the Secret Service is blowing smoke. I think the sheriff of Palm Beach County can probably speak to that more accurately and has. And quite frankly, I believe him over almost any federal agent anymore. My argument is whatever he has, he needs more. They should have shut down the entire golf course. There should be another ring, another perimeter, outer perimeter of security manned by somebody who's competent to do that job. So if the Secret Service is short of people and tapped out completely, and if agents from other federal agencies don't have the kind of training and experience they need to be true A-grade dignitary protection folks, where could we get a ready supply of people who are already trained and know how to work in this kind of environment? Well, the U.S. military. The Tier 1 Special Mission Units, so we're talking elements of SOCOM like Delta, like SEALs, and probably some others. They are trained and they do dignitary protection, especially in other countries during wars or potential wars. There are also private contractors. They are used by both the regular government. They're sometimes used by the military. They are often used by CIA. And often they are used for dignitary protection of foreign nationals in other countries. An example was President Karzai in Afghanistan. Even after he was president, I believe we had private contractors under payment from the United States to protect him over there. I knew a guy who was offered a chance to be on that detail, but was unable to do it for some personal reasons. And he said that having worked with some of these contract dignitary protection folks, that they are A-grade. And unlike the Secret Service, who we can tell from the former director was more focused on DEI issues than the competence of some of the agents, these private contractors, they don't believe in DEI. They get the best, the toughest, the biggest protectors they can get for their details. Trump did have private security under his company before he became president. And a man by the name of Keith Schiller, a retired NYPD officer, was in charge of that detail. It has been reported that Trump wanted Schiller to be a major part of his protective detail. The Secret Service didn't want that. They didn't want private security mixed up with them. And to some degree they won. However, Schiller did serve as the Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of Oval Office Operations during the Trump administration. He has since retired. So there has been a history of Trump wanting to mix private security with Secret Service. And I don't think it's a matter of trust. I think he truly trusts the Secret Service. He's said numerous times how much he appreciates what they have done for him. I mean, those agents that dove on him when the bullets were still flying in Pennsylvania, attest to the willingness of these agencies to protect that guy. So it's not that the Secret Service isn't doing a good enough job as individual agents. I think the problem here is that the Secret Service or Mayorkas or the Harrison-Biden administration are simply lowballing the level of protection he gets. And they can say otherwise all they want, but I really think the facts and the statements of others who've seen it both ways, like the sheriff in Palm Beach County, I really think they show that what we're getting is a half-assed protection team for Trump on purpose. So here's a question I have, a suggestion for the Trump administration, who will not take my opinion at all, I'm sure. I'm nobody. What if he got one of his former Secret Service agents, someone who was on his protective detail when he was the sitting president, that's retired now? Maybe that agent could go on TV with Trump and say, look, I know what it was like when he was president. I have seen what it is like today. It's not the same. It's not even close. If it is indeed what's going on, I don't want him to lie. But with that statement made by someone with the credibility of a former Secret Service agent on his detail, now Trump could say, I trust the Secret Service people who are protecting me, and I appreciate what they do. They have risked their lives for me already, but they're not enough. And obviously, Harris, Biden, Mayorkas, that cabal is not going to give me any more. At that point, I think Trump should say, I am going to hire a private security detail. I'm not going to try to blend them with the Secret Service. I'm going to ask them to be an outer ring, an outer perimeter, kind of an oversight bubble over what the Secret Service is doing. And I'm going to ask my supporters to donate to a non-political fund to help defray the cost of this. The United States government is not willing to protect me to the degree that I need to stay alive until the election. So I'm going to bolster that with my own force. They will interact with the Secret Service to the degree that that is allowed, but they will be there as a backup, kind of an overbubble. And I ask my supporters to try to help pay for this. Okay? The money you donate to this fund will not be political, will not be used for the campaign at all. It's just going to be used to try to keep me alive long enough to get elected. I think if he were to do something like that, it would absolutely blow the doors off the Harris campaign. This would make allegations that Congress could get into and try to investigate. There's not much time left, but they could raise a lot of hell very quickly. I think Trump's supporters would fund that security detail in a large way. I think the money would come flying in. And it would put Harris and Biden on the spot to prove that they're giving him all the Secret Service protection they are. Now, the threat against Trump is rooted in hate speech from the Democrats. The left, the Democrats, including their willing participants in the mainstream media. I don't think these people need to even eat or drink. They live on hate. And they project that hate onto everybody they don't like. So as soon as this event happened, of course, they're on TV saying, well, Trump's hate speech is what is bringing this about. He's still lying about the Haitian immigrants eating cats and stuff in Springfield, Ohio. Well, in the first place, they probably are doing that. And it wouldn't be too difficult to find out if somebody really wanted to go to Springfield and interview some people and find out. But it isn't Trump's hate speech that is causing this. It is the hate speech coming from the Harrison-Biden campaign, their supporters, and the media. They've been calling Trump a second Hitler, an existential threat to democracy, a dictator in waiting. And the left and the media, they know that there are an awful lot of unstable people out there who are following the leftist agenda. These people are potential assassins. So I don't think they need their own conspiracy to kill him. They just need to fire up all the nutcases who are out there who are willing to give it a try on their own. Now, the polls we've been seeing, even after the debate, which, quite frankly, I thought the debate was even at best or mastered by Harris. I don't think Trump did the best job on that. He kind of took the bait, got a little hot under the collar, and missed a lot of opportunities to say good things. The polls don't really show that debate did much difference. And the polls are very mixed. Now, we know that Trump's popularity is almost always underpolled. They missed his numbers in both 2016 and 2020, especially mixed them in 2016. The underlying factors are pointing to polls that show Trump is in the lead, possibly a large lead. Internal polling by the campaigns know that best of all. I still predict that if the left's internal polling shows Harris losing ground dramatically, they will throw Biden under the bus one way or another. They will 25th Amendment him, or he will suddenly die in his sleep. They will make her the President of the United States in a desperate hope that becoming an incumbent will bring her up in the polls and make the difference. If you don't think that side, the leftists, the Democrats, and the media, if you don't think they're capable of doing something like that, then you're foolish. That's the only word I can use. All right, I think that's the facts that we know about the second assassination attempt on Trump. Do I think there will be another attempt on Trump? Absolutely. No question about it. Will he have enough protection to keep him alive? I pray that he will. Should they go to indoor venues? Possibly. Certainly, he should not, under any circumstances, stop campaigning. That's one of the main goals these people have. If they can't kill him, they at least want to stop him from campaigning. And the fact that he is out there the next day or so right after it, getting right on and going, after he'd been shot in the other ear, after shots have been fired at another potential assassin. People who had talked to him within an hour after that second attempt said he was joking about it already. That's the kind of mindset we need to be our commander-in-chief. Not giggle girl. Now, if Trump wins, and if he does that, it's going to be in spite of the polls being manipulated. It's going to be in spite of all the media assistance they can possibly manage to help Harris. It's going to be in spite of all of the election fraud this will get another warning from YouTube that states that, there's no proof there was ever any election fraud, even though there are several cases have just been let for prosecution recently. So if the election fraud, the poll manipulation, the lies in the media, if they don't do the job and Trump manages to get elected, then we will really see the shit hit the fan. Then they will do absolutely anything, including, in my opinion, a deliberate government conspiracy to try to kill him to keep him from being sworn in. I really don't think there is anything they would stop at to keep Trump out of office. Because here's the thing. When they tell their lies, he wants to be a dictator, they're telling you what they want to do. They want to go to a socialist, communist form of government where there will be the people in charge and the serfs. That's their goal. They may not even realize that themselves, but when they go down that road, that's what communism has become everywhere. So they are projecting their thoughts. So when they say that Trump is an existential threat, I think they're right. But he is not an existential threat to the United States, to our way of government. He is an existential threat to the leftists and the deep state that have been controlling this country for 40 or 50 years. That's why they have to stop him. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. If you like this kind of material, give me a thumbs up, subscribe or resubscribe as needed. Folks, I thank you. It's an honor for anybody to listen to what I have to say. I'm pretty close to a nobody. But I think I have always had the ability to kind of see down through problems and see underlying structure of what's going on. And I think Trump is the biggest threat these people have ever faced. And they really don't know what to do about it. Thanks for watching, folks. Lock and load. Get those magazines topped off. Stay safe out there.
Okay, we got them both here now. You ready? Bud got one. Ginger got one. Uh-huh. Oh, she missed it. She usually gets them, doesn't she, bud? Okay, girl, last one. You ready? You ready? Yeah! That's all there is till next time.